my song. Let's sing it. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Come on, it's gonna be fucking awesome. You know the words. It's gonna be fucking awesome. That's insane. It's gonna be fucking awesome.
Howdy, 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 everybody. Welcome to Coolest Alive, where we cut through the noise and spotlight only the fucking fire. We got the picks and the classics that'll make your week pulse harder. I'm your host, Jesse Blaze Snider, the coolest man alive. And, I'm still recovering from being a bit under the weather. Broadcasting from the very edge of the Blacklight District Studios. It is Saturday, and today we're just kind of kicking off our celebration of music on this show, formerly called Coolest Geek Alive, where we were focused more on geek culture stuff, and we're just kind of opening things up a little bit. I mean, in general, it's all the culture. And today we're gonna just talk about music, my history with music and music tastes, and some of the different things that we'll be talking about on the show. Largely the music's going to be coming through a weekly album review. Every Monday is going to be Music Monday. This week I did it on Tuesday. I did 4 days of the shorts this week, but I'm going to do 5 days of the shorts starting with next week. But anyway, we'll get to our music discussion in just a second. But first, let me remind you to join us Monday through Friday with 5 short recommendation podcasts every week. Monday is the best music. Tuesday is the best in animation. Wednesdays are the greatest graphic novels. Thursdays is the all-time best live-action films and TV. And Friday is the wild card, featuring a rotation of the best in books, documentaries, TV shows, video games, plays, stand-up, and more. This week I did The Hobbit, the book. Love that book. And next week I'm doing Marvel Snap, which is an app that I play with my kids on the phone, and I want to recommend it. Yeah, I mean, basically, if I enjoyed it, and I think that you might too, I'm going to bring it on Fridays with a short. So that's 5 brief, heartfelt media recommendations per week. And I know earlier in the week I had said it was going to be 4, but I decided to make it 5. Monday through Friday, plus an hour-long Saturday show. And, of course, my Monday, Everything They Don't Want You to Know Esoteric Wisdom show, where we unpack the hidden codes and the forbidden threads of this world. That's going to be going on Sunday now. So I will have a show Sunday through Saturday. Sunday, Everything They Don't Want You to Know. Monday through Friday, the short Coolest Geek Alive recommendations for comics, music, TV, and other shit. And then the long Saturday episode like we're doing today. Which, granted, I don't think today's episode is going to be an hour. It's probably going to be like a half an hour or something like that. But this is just like where I'm not trying to keep it relatively brief and just give you the information and get you out of there. I tend not to review these movies. I tend to kind of overview the movies in the comics and just recommend them because I don't want to spoil them for you. So before we ignite this fire here on this show today, a quick pulse from the heart of all of this, which is my company, Blacklight District Studio, which crafts boutique music and comic books and merch. We've always got something cooking up on Kickstarter. Right now is no exception. You can pledge now, even though it's like 5 days left. But you can pledge late to our campaign. And it's the Solfeggio Healing Frequency music. It's modern music, blues, soul, rock. It's an album, but there's all collectible editions that I made for people who are fans of mine. But really, this is sound healing frequency music that is like the music you'd listen to on the radio. It's really great. The album is available anywhere you want to listen to it, Spotify or whatever else if you want to check it out beforehand. But these are great collectible bits, and there's a free greatest hits album and a free cover album. A lot of really cool stuff available through the campaign. If you go to blacklightdistrict.studio right now, it'll link you straight over to the campaign, and you can explore there a little bit and sign up for notifications and stuff. All right. I mentioned everything they don't want you to know. All right. Let's crack this episode wide open. So, One of the main changes to the format here, in terms of Coolest Alive, going from Coolest Geek Alive to Coolest Alive, is opening things up to music. And my company, myself, my two big passions are I make comic books and I make music. And I mean, comic books is just storytelling. It just happens to be the medium that I like the best. I'm a writer. So, I'll make things across the board and produce lots of things. I love to craft. I love to craft. That's it. All my life I've been studying writing in different capacities. I'm an award-winning writer on, like, I don't know, half a dozen different things. Starting with stuff in like middle school and high school and, relatively small accolades, but then going up to pretty reasonable accolades. Like the most recent one, which was a long time. I mean, you got to submit yourself for these things. But my song, well, we had two songs. Sorry, I should say we had three songs that were up for awards in the 21st annual USA Songwriting Contest. One in the rock category, one in the electronica category, and one in the humor category. I was really happy to not only win the humor category, but come in third prize overall in the songwriting competition, which had never happened with a humor song before. A humor song had never won one of the top prizes. So that was really cool. That's just most recently. But this is all to say that, I'm a writer. I really like, writing. I appreciate great writing. I always felt that my father, D. Snider from Twisted Sister, for those of you who don't know, he's a brilliant songwriter, and he never really got the respect that he deserved. Songs like I Want to Rock and We're Not Going to Take It that play in stadiums all over the world. It's a very special type of song that gets into the stadium and like stays there. Really, it is like, songs that like people hold on to break them out because everybody will be excited and everybody will get into it. They're kind of hallelujah chorus and O Come O Ye Faithfulest. They're like choir. There's a word for them, not gospels, but, just really uplifting songs, channeling this energy. We're not gonna take it. I want to rock. There's a lot of energy and power in that music. So I really studied his songwriting because I think it's very difficult to write great upbeat songs. I think it's easier to write great ballads. I think a lot of people are capable of that sweet, sappy song. But to write something really empowering and energetic is a challenge. And I studied those songs like my whole life, really just the ones that stood out to me. Again, I do think that a good ballad is kind of a dime a dozen. There's lots of them. But a great rousing song is harder to do. And I felt like for the sake of the benefit of my abilities, that I would study those songs that were harder to write and get really good at writing those. Especially, I was always pretty good at, like I said, it's easy writing ballads. I was always pretty good at writing ballads, for my girlfriends and shit back in the day. I've been writing songs since I was a little kid. So, so in terms of music, I'll say this, not everybody's like me, but my nature is that, like, if I'm going to do something, I study it intensely. I can't stop studying it because it's what I do. So every single time I hear a song, I'm trying to learn something from it. I don't really believe in the idea of like, I don't like this kind of music. Like there's a million country bands that'll change your mind about that, Johnny. There's a million different bands that'll change your mind about any sort of like, I don't like this or I don't like that. I mean, unless you're dealing with some of these bands that like the whole point of it is for it to be a cacophony of like noisiness and whatnot. And let me just tell you this, I'm not into that. I like music for one. The biggest thing with music for me is communication of empathy and emotion and energy. That's it for me. The feel and the energy in words and lyrics and meaning. Like that's my big care with music. So I did a podcast. I did 55 episodes with Podcast Playground before we got shot down on Spotify for playing music clips that were deemed too long by them, but there are 55 bands that I recommended, and they are all over the map. Humor, rock, soul, rap, hip-hop, pop, did I say punk? And more. Fall is here, and with it comes cooler nights, heartier meals, and the craving for something warm and satisfying. That's where HelloFresh comes in, bringing you comforting, chef-designed recipes and fresh, seasonal ingredients right to your doorstep. This season, they've taken things to the next level with their biggest menu refresh yet. Say hello to a whole new way to do dinner. It's bigger. HelloFresh is offering larger portion sizes and has doubled its menu with over 100 options each week. It's healthier. HelloFresh now helps you eat greener with new veggie-packed recipes. And it's tastier, with steak and seafood recipes delivered every week for no extra cost. Plus, new seasonal produce each week, from snap peas to stone fruit to corn on the cob and more. 91% of customers say they feel healthier eating with HelloFresh. 9 out of 10 say dinner is more delicious with HelloFresh. Whatever the case, HelloFresh is America's #1 choice for home cooking. My favorite thing about HelloFresh is how it cuts my food waste in half. I hate wasting food, and I love saving brain cells on cooking at the end of the day with pre-portioned ingredients and easy directions how to prepare them from HelloFresh. The best way to cook just got better. Go to HelloFresh.com/CGA10FM now to get 10 free meals plus a free item for life. 1 per box with active subscription. Free meals applied as discount on first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. That's HelloFresh.com/CGA10FM to get 10 free meals plus a free item for life. And as I was saying, nothing that's like is going to melt your grandmother's ears for the most part. You know, I do like Marilyn Manson, and but Marilyn Manson is very theatrical, and I think some of the right Marilyn Manson songs your grandmother will love. And I tried to play you some of the right Marilyn Manson, direct you towards some of the right stuff. But yeah, I mean, Rage Against the Machine and Blink-182 and Sum 41 and Tenacious D and 50 Cent and Exhibit and DMX and the Cobras, what are they called? The Detroit Cobras, Nathaniel Radcliffe and the Night Sweats, The Living End. There's a lot of great ones. There's more that I want to do, and occasionally, if I get into a band, or like I'm gonna start assigning myself a band at a time to maybe try to do an episode a month, where like I'll come and I'll do the whole catalog for a band, like I used to do on All Your Favorite Bands Suck. But I still got to figure out exactly the format thing, like playing it in the background underneath. I'd rather like get it in with like a studio system, and I don't have anything like that like set up exactly like where I could fade up a thing underneath me, because I'm like all set up for mobile because I move around so much right now. But yeah, I don't know, I'm gonna figure it out. And yeah, so this is warning number 1 is like, if you're a super heavy guy, I'm not the guy to get the recommendations from. That's not to say that I'm not going to recommend really cool theatrical things that maybe have real heavy rock and hard rock and metal elements. Absolutely. But if it's undigestible for your average person, I'm not going to go with it. I really feel like we're all one, we're all the same. And if your grandma doesn't like it, that's a problem. That means that like on some level, it's not music the way, it should appeal to all the humans. So I try to make music like that. I try to study music like that. I have so many bands that I can talk about because I study bands that are really consistent. If I get an album from you and it's like awesome, I'm going to try to get another album and see how consistent that is. If that one's consistently awesome too, I'm going to get another one. I went like that with 311, and fuck, I was like 11 albums in going, holy shit, this band's great. And they are. 311's a great one. They're another one. I've done an episode about them. A lot more humor bands. I'm really excited about who I'm going to do on Monday, which is, I got to find the guy. His the album has been changed to his name. I don't remember what his name is, but the album was released as Punky Brewster, and it is fucking hysterical. It's this fake punk thing. They're a heavy metal band, a death metal band that in desperation one night they start playing punk music to like appease an audience, and then they become these like media stars and darlings. It's like a whole like, it'd be a great play. It's a whole fucking story. It's awesome. All Your Favorite Bands Suck. I always did what do you call it? a whole catalog of a band that had at least 3 records that I really cared about. So it was always like an hour or whatever to talk about that. But some of the, I'm trying to remember now some of these singular albums that I was like, oh man, I want to fucking do one on that. I want to do one on that. Like I might do Sugar Ray. Their first album was really solid just because it was so new and interesting. I know that sounds weird, knowing them from Fly. I don't know if there's my usual required 6 great songs in there. I remember like 4, 5 maybe, but maybe there's more that I don't remember. I'm gonna have to check that one out. Anyway, I've been making lists all week long for music, for comic book recommendations, for TV recommendations, animation recommendations, movie recommendations, book recommendations, toys, and all sorts of shit. It's a lot of work that I'm like adding to my plate all of a sudden. But really it's just sort of like one day of a bunch of work to get done the 5. And just a little bit of organization on my part, because like I certainly have the passion to talk about them. I get a little bit like gun shy that in the perfect world, I would have just freshly watched, I would have just freshly read, I would have just freshly, with everything. But oh my God, like the amount that I used to be able to read, and like it just was so much, and like I got so much done at a time. So it's like almost impossible to go back and cover all this stuff, especially how much that I'm doing now. But certainly, just take my word for it, and just remember, like I'm not. I promise you, I'm not bringing you anything that I'd never read or never watched or I don't enjoy. Even if I'm sitting there going, I don't remember exactly that, but I don't really like to spoil this stuff anyway. I really just prefer to kind of just go, ooh, I love that. It affected me like this, because I think that's like the most important thing. So I'm a songwriter. I've won awards for it, and I write like other things, and I am a study. I study music like crazy. I've amassed incredible amounts of great bands that I love and I've looked up to in their songwriting and lyric writing or music writing or whatever it might be. Everybody's a little bit different. My father's probably my biggest idol. If I'm being honest, he's probably my favorite band. But I like to say my favorite band's Rage Against the Machine. Love them. Really love how they made the grooves within their music. You really feel their music really hard. One of my other favorite bands is The Offspring. Dexter Holland, the lead singer, is a brilliant guy, really smart, and he writes awesome material. Often his calling card is reversals of situations where, like, I was confused this one time. He had this song called "It's Cool to Hate," and I was like, "It's not cool to hate." What? And then I listened to the song, and the song was this obvious, like, you're an idiot going around hating. Like, obviously it's lame, like you think it's cool to hate, but it's not cool to hate. And wonderful, there's lots of juxtaposition in his work. A slight wry comedy, a smirk. Think about Come Out and Play, or even Self-Esteem. There's humor, but depth and humor. They've got such great stuff. Anyway. And then Marilyn Manson's one of my other favorite bands, which I know you're like, oh, Marilyn Manson. Marilyn Manson started as this kind of punk band. And their initial album, I fell in love with. It's very lighthearted and tongue-in-cheek and fun. When Trent Reznor came along, they got very serious. And I still do enjoy them. I think Marilyn himself, Brian, is very talented. Writer, as is Twiggy and some of the other people who they work in with there. And just ultimately, though, it's just a lesson in theatrics, giantism, of the voice. Your world is an ashtray. You can do so much with your voice. You can make people feel so much. You can evoke so much. I like to just, view all genre as like a toolbox that I have, and I can reach into the toolbox and I can pull out soul, I can pull out metal, I can pull out moments of heaviness and moments of gravitas as the way it's been demonstrated in various harder music. One of my earlier things of I think demonstrating my good tastes in music was that I was put in charge of the Strangeland soundtrack, which is my father's heavy metal movie that came out in the 90s. Not heavy metal, horror movie that came out in the 90s. I'm not the biggest 90s metal fan. So there are some things that I quite like. But that's not like my genre of choice per se. Again, like I there's none that I don't like, but like it's not one that I'm particularly fond of or find myself listening to a lot. And I was asked to sculpt this soundtrack. I picked almost all of the soundtrack, with the exception of like, I want to say like 4 or 5 tracks that for one reason or another were like selected for me. Like there's 2 covers. There's one cover of Captain Howdy and there's one cover of Street Justice, which are 2 songs from Twisted Sister's Stay Hungry album. Those were picked. Karen Crisis is doing that, and it's A Day in the Life or something like that is doing the other one. They're good. I like their covers. And then there was like 1 or 2, like we were given an option of any of my favorite songs from the fucking Marilyn Manson's first album that I fell in love with so much. And my dad picked the shittiest one on the whole record. And when I met Marilyn Manson as a VJ, I don't know, 5 years later, he and I had that exact same conversation that it was his least favorite song on the record that he picked, but it did fit good in the scene. And it did fit good in the scene. But I think Dope Hat would have fit good in the scene, and Dope Hat is one of the greatest fucking songs ever written. Love Dope Hat. That's one of my favorite songs from the first Marilyn Manson record. I have a song called Juggernaut, which is heavily inspired by that song, and You Can't Stop Rock and Roll by Twisted Sister. If you ever want to check out any of the music that I've put out, and I mean at this stage of the game, I've put out quite a lot of things, including my critically acclaimed Blacklight District EP, which is 6 really cool tracks about kind of the end of the world, either personally or literally. There's 6 comics that go with it. You can still check it out for free at blacklightdistrict.co. Leave off the M for savings on my part for that web address. But it's a free art installation where you can listen to the 6 songs and you can read the 6 comics. But you can also find that record as well as a lot of other records that I've put out on Spotify, iTunes, whatever else. Most of the ones, even though a lot of them are different projects, I've just put out as Jesse Blaze. If you look up Jesse Blaze, you'll find Jesse Blaze solo albums or albums of collections of music that I've written. But you'll also find things like The Slip, which is this really cool, dark, pop electronic love songs from a serial killer is what it's called. It's really, really cool, fun stuff. A lot of it's been licensed to like ESPN, and like if you watch a lot of ESPN, you might have heard some of these songs before if you were watching at the time that they were airing. And then there's my old band Baptized by Fire, but that's again something as Jesse Blaze. Something's put out as Jesse Blaze, also Blazed, which is my very first band with my buddy Crystalline, who passed away. And so there's like a lot of sort of range, and then of course the Solfeggio Transmissions, the new album that I've been using the AI to create my backup music, but it's all the same writing process for me, just having the AI make the music. But I was never going to release it. I was always demoing. But when I started to tune them to the healing frequencies and I was using them to like heal myself and I was having really positive experiences with them, I decided to release them. So there's a lot of music out there. I think I've like 9 albums, or I will have 9 albums. There's like a 9th album that's going to be released soon. And mind you, I've never been, not a dollar has ever been put into promoting my work. I also have a side project called DILF USA, and there's nothing, no money has gone into any, like, we've made a bunch of great music videos and put out a lot of great singles, but largely we don't have a lot of views and stuff on our stuff because it's been very difficult to get any traction online without putting money into the system. And because I've kind of like refused to some degree on some level sometimes, and because I haven't had the extra money to do it even. I mean, if I had like fucking shitload of money sitting around, I would do it. We haven't really been able to get these things popping, but I promise you, if you go listen to any of this stuff, you'll say, oh yeah, Jesse's a pro songwriter. He makes great music, and some of you I believe will become fans instantaneously. I'm one of the best people in music that most people don't really know about because I refuse to sell my soul, and it's the truth. But I put together that Strangeland soundtrack, and I got original, like, unreleased songs from Anthrax from like periods that were great, unreleased songs from Pantera from songwriting periods that were great. I was trying to get Rammstein on the album, but for some reason we weren't able to get them, even though they were one of the bands that I listened to and it was like offered to us. We got Kid Rock and Eminem on that soundtrack. We've got decent song by Megadeth. I don't know why we had to go with that one. I think that was like the one we were offered kind of thing. Secret Place. I like that song, okay. But the Anthrax song's so good. The Pantera song's so good. And we have an original System of a Down song on the record, which is really fucking great. I forget what that one's called. I had been given 2 System of the Down originals, and they were both awesome. I would have recommended both of them. I saved them both because they were awesome to listen to. I picked the first one, whichever one's on the final CD, but that's like the one that I picked. But at the same time, I was like, whoa, dudes, this is great. Hold on, my doggies are going crazy. Let me just make sure they're okay. Yeah, but we have some Seven Dust and some Head PE in there. Incubus was a band that I was trying to get on the soundtrack, but for whatever reason, they didn't end up on it. Many of these bands were not big at the time that we put them on the soundtrack. So, you know, if you were looking at it from the perspective that I really called a shitload of successful bands and picked songs that people liked. The soundtrack ended up being a big hit. To some degree, was like a bigger financial success than the movie itself in some ways. And I'm not trying to insult the movie. The movie did very well in like renting and whatnot, but I know that it was being wiggled around with accounting. The company that had made Strangeland ended up getting in trouble and going under. But it was a big piece of pride for me. Picking music wasn't necessarily all my favorite bands, but I thought picking like their best stuff and stuff that would be great on the soundtrack. And people who watched that movie love the soundtrack and have gone to great lengths to find it and get a hold of it. It really is. It's just back in the day when I was growing up, great soundtracks were a thing that were fairly regular. Like even something like a movie that wasn't so great, like Spawn, had a really great soundtrack. It was all these mixes, jams between these metal artists and these electronic artists. All the songs were very cool and interesting. I was trying to think of another one. The Crow. There's a ton of movies that had come out back in the day. Even something like, Batman Forever or Armageddon. And these soundtracks were loaded up with fucking great tunes. And a really great mixtape and soundtrack. Like I'm from back in the day where like, you could make a mixtape with on a cassette tape, little plastic cassette tapes, and you'd record this off the radio and things like that, which granted, I was a little bit past the recording things off the radio because I'm not quite that old. But the idea of just making some great mix of things that were great is appealing to me. And later on, I took that love to CW Post, where I was part of the TV station, part of the newspaper. I was the A&E editor for the newspaper my freshman year, and we used to do an 8-page pullout that I ran and I would put together with a very limited staff. I just wanted to do a pullout. It was a lot of work, but it was fun to do. I was also on the college radio station, and I had a show called The Radio Blaze with No Ballad Interruptions. And, I have gotten over my ballad thing. Van Morrison really melted my heart, and I appreciate a good ballad now a little bit more than I did back in the day. I still think that it was important for me to study the non-ballads because that was where the harder songwriting was. But I do like a ballad now. But the Radio Blaze, was just me trying to fire people up with energy and putting together, I think it was just an hour-long show, but an hour of just killer rock songs. And not all rock, but just all hard-hitting, so if it's a rap song with a hard-hitting and pop songs that were hard-hitting and just 60 songs that were pop, it had to make you feel. And I was often complimented from my professor for the radio station. Him and his son used to work in the backyard and stuff, and they'd put on the radio station in the back, and it would, I think we all had standard days, but then on the weekend it would just re-air all of our shows automatically. And he used to tell me that they liked my show the best. There was great music, always great music, and that it was just upbeat and fun and helped them get yard work done, which was kind of what I was making for. I wish I had some of those like episodes. Like I wish like I never had recordings of any of those episodes because it was digital by then. That would have been so cool if I could like actually put on the old Radio Blaze and hear myself as a fucking 18-year-old, 19-year-old kid and like playing just like all my favorite cuts from back in the day. Oh shit. It's a bummer. Oh, I wish I could do that. That's so cool. So I don't know. What else do I want to talk to you about here? Oh, I guess I was going to talk to you a little bit about my background musically. Because, like, I know people think D, obviously, you know, my dad, that's got to be the big influence. Well, side by side with Dad was The Muppet Show. My mom was a fan of The Muppet Show, and I loved The Muppet Show, and we used to watch it all the time. And The Muppet Show has a huge range of genres, musical genres on it, you know, from Alice Cooper at the heaviest to Leo Sayers doing disco stuff, disco and country and pop and folk, and I mean, just like all sorts of music would come on The Muppet Show. So I have this like super heavy influence of my dad, and then I've got this super heavy influence of The Muppet Show, which is very eclectic and storytelling oriented and you know, clever wink oriented. It's, you know, just stuff that where the always using the lyrics or the music and the visuals, you know, to say something fun or funny, to open up a deeper layer in the music. The Muppet Show and that 70s influence. And then like additionally, my dad, like, I know everybody always has like the mistaken impression. They think like I'll be into 80s music, but 80s is my dad's peers. 70s and like early 60s, you know, really, and even 50s, like rock, are all my dad's idols. So those are the people that I more took to, you know, your AC/DCs and your Motorheads and your Creedence Clearwater Revivals and Alice Coopers and bands like that that had been around a lot longer. Motley Crue and Poison. I don't really give a shit about those bands. Even like Guns N' Roses. I mean, like I like Guns N' Roses, okay. But they're all kind of after me. Like that's kind of the peer phase for my father. And even though there are some 80s bands that I like a lot. Like first two Skid Row albums are fucking phenomenal, and you know, Cinderella's "Nobody's Fool's" one of my favorite songs of all time, and I love Kicks. But I grew up in high school during you know, like the what a lot of people would call fake punk. Well, it just became more and more fashionable to call it all fake punk as time went on. But Green Day and The Offspring, and when all the grunge acts had come out at that time, like I was really not a big Nirvana fan, still not. But I'm a big fan of Alice in Chains, big fan of Soundgarden. And Chris Cornell and Audioslave. Not a big Pearl Jam fan either. I don't really like that whole movement because it was just, to me, it was just boring as fuck. Hey, we're in flannel. Yay. And then, you know, there are so many different waves that came out of that, from emo and hardcore and, you know, rap and hip hop and nu metal. And like, there's bands and all of that stuff that I like and I think have talent and are cool. But throughout my growing up, there's been a couple factors that have also helped me to expand my musical taste. My uncle, Mark Snider, shout out to Mark and Melissa Snider, my godmommy and my goddaddy. They are, send actually everybody, here, get up in your thing, take a big breath, and send healing to my Aunt Melissa. She's recovering from surgery for cancer, and we want to send her good vibes. So, healing to you, Aunt Melissa. Love you. She's a good lady. She deserves it. Anyway, Mark worked at Elektra Records. Elektra and Atlantic Records were partners, and I would get all sorts of free records. Well, I think there was like certain things that like we would almost always get, and then like occasionally I would get like lots of things. There was one time where I was allowed to like search through a catalog and just like basically ask for like anything that was in the catalog for like all these different bands, and like I just got tons and tons of free albums that I wanted. You know, AC/DC and Motorhead and things like that. And, you know, through that, you know, bands like Sponge or Space Hog and like, what's that other band? Like, Tin Star, to tons of really cool little bands that were on Elektra or whatever, and like I really liked some of their material, but for whatever reason it didn't pick up with an audience, and like they got dropped or whatever else. But there's tons of bands that I have been turned on to along the way from my record label uncle. Then at 19, I got hired by MTV to be one of their VJs for MTV2 Rock. When I got hooked up with a whole bunch of different people from record labels who wanted me to be able to speak favorably about some of their artists and stuff. But like I got hooked up with like the Interscope guy. Like I was getting all the fucking G Unit mixtapes, the shit before it went out. I'm such a big G Unit fan, and fucking 50 Cent. 50 Cent's one of my favorite rappers. Period. Well, B.O.B. too is a rival to him, but 50's a more traditional kind of, and I like the way 50 does his shit. Love B.O.B. as well. B.O.B. I have an episode on him with All Your Favorite Bands Suck. Remember, there's hours and hours and hours, 55 hours essentially of me going over 55 bands, including my dad. And his catalog is like episode 15. And you can check that out whenever if you look up All Your Favorite Bands Suck anywhere but Spotify. But like I said, this is going to be me adding to that. I'm not going to go back, I don't think, and redo those 55 episodes. I think I'm going to, just kind of continue on. And like there were other bands that I was planning on getting to, next on the series. It was a bitch when I was doing it weekly, and every week I had to go through an entire band's music catalog. It was a lot of work. So I'm going to try to maybe see if I can do it like once a month once I figure out how to do the audio part of it. So what do I want to say just to wrap this thing up here? Maybe not the whole show, but just like what I'm saying right now. That through the miracle of record labels and their desire for promotion, I often have been turned on to great stuff. I'm also somebody who, if I hear a single thing that blows me away, I will immediately try to seek out an album and see if I can find more. I also haven't in a while, and I need to, but I've just been too busy. Often we'll put on just sort of like the radio, recommendations kind of thing within a Spotify or whatever else, like, to have them recommend things to me. And, and that's just a great way to find new shit, when new tunes are being sent your way and you get a chance to, listen, get into a new band, and there you go. Bob's your uncle. You're off to the races. Additionally, I have children. I've got 4 children. I've got an ex-wife who is a real like kind of hip hop pop person because she's a cheerleader, and kids who are more in that like a range of just like different pop, electronic and things, and I like to share music with them. So I try to be open to what I'm hearing all the time, and like if ever I hear anything that's like, oh great, this person would really like that, or this person would really like that, because most people around me are definitely more genre driven than I am in particular. They search for things of a certain variety over and over again, but me, I just bounce around. I'm sitting on like 5,000 amazing songs that I've written now. It's very sad. I've gotten so good at doing it that I started getting mad at myself that I wasn't able to get these out. Like I'm just like, can I just give them to somebody? I just want somebody to record these. Like some of the messaging in some of these things. Like there's a song that I just recorded called Conspiracy Theorist, and it's just celebrating the term conspiracy theorist. Yes, I'm a conspiracy theorist. It's really important to have songs that can spin our head around the way George Carlin or a good comedian would, and make us think in polarities and open our minds. And I have a lot of material like that, and I just like, haven't been able to get it out of me fast enough. But finally, I'm starting to kind of move and get some things done quicker. But that's just to say that I don't believe in genre. I write all sorts of stuff. I've probably written anything that's lyrically driven, melody driven. I've probably written a version of any genre that you can imagine, somewhere along the way, unless the genre is all about the extreme style of the singing, like death metal or yodeling or something like that. But even like the yodeling type melodies and stuff like that, that shit shows up in my songwriting all the time. It's just like whatever sounds good. Whatever sounds good, sounds good. Yeah. So, I mean, really, this episode today is to introduce, my fans of the show who've been listening, who aren't necessarily big music people, into who I am as like a listener. That I'm going to be making you recommendations. Certainly, the rock influence is heavy because it's my pops. But my influences are really much wider than that. Not just as a listener and a student of music, but as a writer of music as well. And I really love to be able to put a spotlight on bands that people aren't as familiar with. There's lots of things that have always been pop music in the plain sight with lots of money being pumped into people seeing them. There are tons of bands that are on my list of, say, like favorite bands of all time, even though I have a lot of things to say about the Beatles. But I never did an episode of the Beatles on All Your Favorite Bands Suck because I was trying to focus on the ones that haven't been covered so much. I could do an episode on Elvis. I could do an episode on some of these people. I don't think I did Eminem either. But I mean, there's a bunch that I didn't do because I was like, I'd rather focus on, 50 Cent doesn't really get enough appreciation. It's a lot of it's like conversation about him, but his music is excellent. Really like 50, B.O.B. So many bands. Music is great, man. I love music. Music is the thing that just perpetually saves my life and drives me, and I love making it. I love sharing it with people. I love being at a good concert where there's real energy in the room and shit's going down. I mean, fucking music. Music is music. Music is life. And, if I'm to be doing a show about the coolest things on this earth, well, I got news for you guys. That is always going to include some music when it comes to me, at least. That's just the thing of it. So I hope you don't mind. I'm kind of inventing a new genre here, comic books and music. That's what my company does. And, we make merch and stuff to support this stuff. But what are comic books? Comic books are stories. Everything that we're reviewing on the show all week in and week out, it's all just stories in different forms, whether stories through songs, comic books, animation, live action, books, video games, whatever it may be. And I'm really excited to get into this new chapter of Coolest Alive, which I think will bring in, new listeners who hopefully, if you're a geek like me, you'll be excited at the idea that, we're going to trick some of these fucking people into becoming geeks too. Ha 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 ha. Gotcha now, you motherfuckers. I know a lot of people, some people don't like that geek or their preferred nerd or whatever. It doesn't matter. What it's about is, it's about respect. Geeks are just the people who aren't so wrapped up in themselves that they're willing to go and respect some other people as having done some things that are worth their time, written a book or made a movie or whatever else. And we've become interested in what those people are doing and studying their work and learning more and growing, and through our exposure to all of this art. And I'm just all about that. So I was feeling on some level a little stifled. The tattoo on my arm does not actually say coolest geek alive. It says coolest man alive. And I do consider myself a geek, but I don't really consider myself a geek. I don't think that defines me in any way, shape, or form. It's one of many facets of my personality. And one of the other big facets of my personality is I'm a musician. And, I really feel like those two things go hand in hand. I'm a storyteller. I'm a person who creates things. I'm a person who loves the arts. And those are the two arts that meant the most to me, that I thought I could do the best work in those fields. And I put together everything to fucking do it, man. That's what I do. That's why I come and I talk about all this stuff all the time. And I really hope that you guys will be with me in this new stage of the show as Coolest Live, a little bit broader as a cultural show, period, as opposed to geek culture. It's because it's all our culture. Geek culture got sucked in by fucking regular culture, and of course they've ruined it. They've ruined everything. But I mean, we're one big happy family, and I want us all to be enjoying the same stuff. The other day I was hearing somebody talk about this, and I have talked about this at length in a previous episode of the show, about the destruction of shared culture. That, when you really diverge too far from the source material for a comic book or a book or whatever it might be, you leave in the dust a previous generation that was enjoying that thing and might have continued to enjoy it if it had been a little bit more familiar to them, and if they could have more easily shared in it with the next generation. because that's what it's all about. And, Coolest Alive from now on, this show is dedicated to creating a shared cultural arts experience. I'm trying to find the best of everything that I can find for you guys so that we can all share in this wonderful cultural experience of artists created by all of these wonderful creative people. I'm a part of that myself, but also I will never stop being a member of the fan community. I love music. I love comic books. I wouldn't spend so much time working on these things if I didn't love them so much. Love a good movie, good TV show. It's my favorite things. That's why I'm going to be able to go for years and years and years, off thousands and thousands of movies and TV shows and graphic novels and cartoons and whatever else, that I've come to feel has value in our lives and will bring some joy to yours. And that's what this show is about. I think now more than ever with our 5 days a week of just recommendations, and, I'll maybe be negative once or twice a month, which I love that too. Cause just really the focus on this show is all the fucking positive stuff. And, when appropriate, we can talk about things that are going wrong in the entertainment sphere. But now we can also talk about the music world and reality TV. And and granted, me, I've got good taste. I'm not going to be talking about anything like that unless it's going to be a conversation that you're going to think is worth having. So, anyway, there it is. Your Coolest Alive Saturday episode. Yes, my 1 hour Saturday, and we're not quite 1 hour, as they won't always be. But remember, join us Monday for music, Tuesday for animation, Wednesdays for comics, Thursdays for live action, Fridays for all sorts of stuff, and every Saturday for this 1 hour long Mother Show. You can hit me up at jbs@blacklightdistrict.studio. The email is working. And let me know what's sparking for you with all of these picks and recommendations and all these things that I'm going to be throwing out over the next bunch of weeks. I really want to hear from you guys. If you have recommendations of movies or things that I should check out that you think I would want to recommend to people, I love getting good recommendations, especially if you've got good taste. So if you think you got good taste, hit me up, jbs@blacklightdistrict.studio. And remember, blacklightdistrict.studio is where you can go to link over to our Kickstarter for our Healing Frequency album, the collector's editions of all the different things. You pledge right now. There's 5 days left, but you'll still be able to pledge a little bit after the campaign's over, but at a certain point in time, it's all just going to shut down on you, so sorry about that. And don't sleep on everything they don't want you to know. Sundays now is going to be the day. That's where the real map of this universe unfolds. Anyway, please support Blacklight District Studios' latest project, my Healing Frequency album, Solfeggio Transmissions Volume 1, on Kickstarter. Go to blacklightdistrict.studio to pledge now. To link to the page and pledge now. Anyway, this is Jesse Blaze Snider signing off from the Blacklight District, saying stay cool, motherfuckers, and stay alive. Love you. Bye-bye. You've been listening to Coolest Geek Alive with me, your host, Jesse Blaze Snider. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe for more excellent geek culture content. Thanks for listening.
It's my favorite part! Isn't that heavy? I'll play that! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Coolest alive! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Stay with your tribe! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Revenge of the Geeks! fucking awesome. Talking some shit. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Living legit. My voice is fucking awesome. Food in our mouth. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Get in the mouth. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Tell all your friends. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Call right or text. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Raising the bar. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Straight to the stars. It's gonna be fucking awesome. It's starting soon. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Passing the moon. It's gonna be fucking awesome. On with the show. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Ready, set, go.
It's going to be fucking awesome. Fucking awesome. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Just wait. You'll see. You'll all see.
You'll all see.